Hello, today I'm going to show you how to finish bead loom bracelets like this. So the most important step for when you're starting out to finish them off is use thicker strings for these strings on the very outside of the bracelet, because that is going to help us in the very end. All your other strings can be thin enough that your beads can fit in between them, and then do the pattern you want, but not all the way. Keep some pattern that we can use to do the triangle end. We want to make sure we have a long string for this because we can replace the string as we go, but for this end part, it is far easier to just use the same string for all of it. So make sure your string is long enough for that. Make sure it's secured if you just added a new string, which I did right here because mine was too short. So I'm going to continue to finish my pattern, but I'm going to be going down one on each end each time. So I'll show you what I mean. And by one, I mean one on both sides. So I'm currently on row 36 of this pattern, which I'll link in the description below. I'll be doing 13 blue, 1 green, 2 blue, 1 white, 1 orange, 1 white, and 1 blue. So that's gonna be that would be my normal pattern if I were doing it just normal, but I'm gonna take one off of each end. So instead of doing 13 blue, I'm gonna do 12 blue, 1 green, 2 blue, 1 white, 1 orange, 1 white, and then stop there. This is 20 beads wide, and currently on my string I have 18 beads, so if that gives you a better idea of kind of what we're going for. Okay, and then usually you would match them up to all of them, but this time I'm going to put them one space in between, if that makes sense. So now I'm going to do the same thing I would do to do all the other things of this bracelet, which if you don't know, I will make a tutorial soon on how to do this. But then you're going to go over all the strings. So even though there's that space right there, you're still going to go over it as if you're threading through a bead on the top of it. And then same with this last one. You're just going to go over the top of it, and you're going to be going under it with your next thing of beads. And that's how it's supposed to be, so don't worry about that. And then you can keep it pretty loose, so let's keep going. So for this row, you're gonna be doing 2 in, are gonna just be blank on both sides, so that's 4 in total. So then you're gonna go underneath like you normally would, and you're gonna have 2 spaces on each side. So I gotta balance mine out, so I got 2 on each side. And then do the same thing where you're going over both of those just as if you were doing beads on there. Of course, follow your normal beading techniques. And again, those can stay loose on the side. You don't need to feel the need to like pull it right now. Next, we're gonna go and we're gonna have 3 open spaces on each side. So let's go ahead and do that now. So now I'm doing the same technique, just what you usually do, except you're taking away 3 on each side. Now we're going 4 in on each side. You kind of get the pattern. It's just taking 1 off of each side every single time. A good way to check if you did it correctly is if this row of beads is 1 down from the row of beads above it. That is actually why you can tell where I messed up right here, so don't mess up like I did, but hopefully this tutorial still makes enough sense. And then I'm gonna repeat this until I've gotten down to 1, 2, or 3 at the bottom. That's kind of up to you how many you want to do, but I would not do more than 3. Cute pattern though. Oh my goodness, please look at the description for the pattern number. I forgot to start this bracelet out like this because, well, not necessarily forgot, I just didn't even think about it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this on the other side. So to do it on the other side, because I didn't start with it, I got a new string with a new needle on this one up here. So I'm just leaving this string long right now because we're going to need to pull it later. But anyways, I'm going to be going on this back side. I accidentally started at the beginning of the pattern, so I'm just going to have to like make up pattern or kind of use the end of the pattern here. So we'll see kind of how that goes, but it should be good. And yeah, then we can finish this bracelet. So we're doing the same thing we did up there. I'm gonna do one down on each side. So for this bracelet, that's 18 that's 18 beads. Okay, I'll start with this side and then on the other side. So get all the other strings out of the way so that they're not in the way. And we need to take this off the loom, but we need to take it off very carefully so that we can make sure that these stay together. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna loosen up the loom a little bit, but not all the way. And then I'm gonna tighten it. And then I'm just gonna pull these strings more towards the center. And it doesn't have to be exactly towards the center, but this way I can pull these a little bit tighter and kind of get a feel of what we're going for. Because you're going to want to pull all these strings to be tighter, not just the bottom ones, because you see these ones are looping. So you're going to want to pull, starting from the second one down, pull these ones tighter, and then you're going to go on the next one down and pull that tighter, and then just continue until you're to the bottom.
As you can see, mine has a little bit of curving and wrinkling at the bottom, but don't worry about that if you have it like that, because it will resolve itself.
So I'm gonna leave this here. I'm gonna go to the other side and tighten it up on the other side, and then I'm going to take it off the loom and do my next step. As you can see, the beads start to fall to the side, so we want to avoid that. And if they do, just push them back to the center. I'm going to put mine like this for now, and you can either tape it down or clip it down somewhere, or you don't even have to tape it down at all, but I like to tape mine down because it helps me to not lose it as it's going around. Don't use very strong tape with the beads. I'm just gonna use this washi tape because it'll hold it in place well enough, but then it won't rip off or hurt any of my beads or string. So right now I'm just taping it at the top where the string is to hold it down, and then there just to kind of stabilize it. So then all these strings at the bottom, I'm just gonna kind of gather up. I'm gonna push all of those beads up just to make sure they're in place. And then this long string, I want to pull it again to make sure that all of these are tightened. You can see those ones are not fully tightened, so I'm gonna shift that a little bit. So you're gonna take the string and wrap it in a knot around the bracelet, and you're gonna have to do it again for it to actually tie. So I'm gonna take the needle off again because I had to put it back on to fix something. Yeah, you're gonna very, very carefully tie that knot. And I like to tie like 5 extra knots because I do not want this bracelet to come apart. So I'm gonna tie as many knots as I can right here. After I've done that, you can either switch and do the other side and then come back, or just finish this side, which is what I'm gonna do. And so I retape it so I get a good grip. I'm gonna take more of the color of the outside string of whatever I did. So for me, I did this color. And then I'm going to make it pretty good length. I'd say like 12 inches at least, just in case. And we are going to be doing square knots with this onto these strings. So I'm going to make sure it's pretty even in the middle. I'm going to tie a normal knot on here and pull it up as close as I can to those beads. And then I'm going to add another layer of tape towards the bottom so it stays down while I'm tying this. Again, this is why it's important to have not too sticky of tape. I'll have some washi tape linked in the description. Okay, so to do a square knot, you're going to go over with one side, and then you're gonna go over this string and under these strings and through this little loop that you left. I'll show you again because it's a little tricky. But basically we're gonna be doing that over and over again for like 5 to 10 times depending on your preference. So I'm gonna switch back and forth too between which I'm doing. So This time I'm doing this side over. This side's gonna go over that string, under the group of strings, and through this top string, or there's the loop that we made. And then we're going to just, keep doing that until we have a good amount. You're also welcome to cut this really long string to be the same length as all the other strings. Okay, so you're gonna be doing 5 to 10 square knots, alternating each time which one's going over and which one's going under. And then once you're done with that, we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so I did about 6 right here. And now I'm going to twist this bottom part up so that I can turn it into a little pull string. So I'm going to use a rope making technique. And for this, you might have to cut some of the strings at the bottom so that you can make them even on both sides, or somewhat even. They don't have to be exact because there's so many strings. But you're going to start by twisting them both. So we're gonna split into 2, and then we're gonna twist them both the same direction. So I'm twisting them to the right. So now that you have those twisted separately, you're gonna twist them together in the opposite direction. And while you do this, you have to continue to twist them in your hands so that it stays together and it doesn't unravel once you tie it off. So I'm not exactly sure how long I need this. I will test it out as I do the other side, but longer is always better to assume to tie your knot for these, because you can always tie a knot closer and make it shorter. And then to tie that knot, you're going to take it, twist it around a finger so it's got like a little loop, and then pull it through. And I'm going to pull that really tight. Okay, next step is to flip it around and do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so I've done that on both sides now. You're going to cut above the knot enough that it's kind of like a tassel end so it doesn't fall apart. So I'm going to do that on both sides. You may ask why this side's a little crazy. My strings were really short. I did not give myself very much to work with, so I'm gonna have to clean that up later. But bam, we have our bracelet. So you can either tie that together, or we can make this adjustable. So to make it adjustable, I want to check first off if it'll fit around my wrist. When it's fully, it will. So I'm gonna make mine adjustable. So I'm going to lay these out so that it's like in its bracelet form. So I'm working with these strings, and I'm going to tape it just so they stay. And we're going to be tying more square knots just around here with another string. So I don't need mine to be super long, so I'm just going to use this extra string I have. So first I tie just a normal knot, and then I'm going to tie square knots down this line. So I put one underneath, and then over the other one, and then that one over and through the loop. And repeat that, but switch off which string you use. And you can repeat that as many times as you want. Honestly, I'm only gonna do like 3, and then I'm gonna tie a double knot because I'm lazy and I wanna be done. And now I'm cleaning it up. I will clean up my desk later with all the tape. But just making sure to be so careful not to cut anything I don't want to, because that would be so tragic. And then something else you can do is you can take super glue and put it along the sides so that it doesn't come apart, which I'll be doing before I cut these any shorter. But I just wanted to show you the final product because I don't actually have super glue right now. So I'm gonna just show you the final product minus like the edges being super glued and all secured as they should be. But there is the bracelet, and oh my goodness, it's so thick, but it is so pretty and so cool. So thank you so much for watching. We got our adjustable back so we can stick it on carefully. my like nice little koi pond cuff, and I like how it feels on my skin. So I will probably stick with doing shorter ones in the future, but here is how to do the triangle end. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great night.